The forest was quiet, only the sound of leaves moving in the cold wind. The human explorer, Daniel, walked carefully through the tall, glowing trees. He was far from Earth, on a planet where even the shadows felt alive. His ship had broken down, and he needed help. Daniel moved slowly, checking every sound. He knew this world had creatures watching him, but he didn't expect to find anyone like her. When he pushed aside the thick vines, he saw a young alien girl. Her skin glowed faintly blue under the moonlight, and her silver eyes widened the moment she saw him. She froze, then let out a scream that cut through the silent night. "Please don't eat me," she cried. Her voice shook, her body trembled, and she stumbled back as if he was a monster. Daniel stopped where he was, completely shocked. He raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "Wait. I'm not going to hurt you," Daniel said gently. But his words only seemed to scare her more. She covered her face, shaking her head. No, you'll eat me. That's how you humans make babies." The words hit him like lightning. Daniel blinked, confused. "What? That's not true," he whispered. But the girl wasn't listening. Her breath came fast, and tears filled her glowing eyes. She truly believed he was here to devour her. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. Daniel's heart raced. He had seen fear before, but never like this. It was pure terror, the kind that came from generations of stories. Her people must have told her again and again that humans were dangerous monsters. Daniel knelt down slowly, keeping his hands in the air. He spoke in a calm voice. "I'm not here to hurt you. I only need help with my ship." The girl shook her head violently. No, you want to mate. You will eat me. I know." Her voice broke, and Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. What kind of lie had she been taught? He tried to step closer, but she screamed again, louder this time. Her cry echoed through the forest, and birds scattered into the night sky. Daniel realized this wasn't just fear, this was danger. If others heard her, they would come. They would think the human really was here to consume one of their own. And if that happened, he might not leave this planet alive. The girl tripped backward, falling onto the mossy ground. Daniel could see her hands shaking as she tried to crawl away. "Please," she whispered, "please don't eat me." Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to tell her 100 times that it wasn't true, but words weren't enough. She didn't trust him, and in that moment, he felt the heavy weight of the misunderstanding between their species. He stayed low, trying not to move too fast. "I don't eat people," he said softly. "That's not how humans live. That's not how we reproduce." His voice cracked at the strange word. He could hardly believe he was saying it. The girl looked at him, her eyes wide, searching for lies. For the first time, she hesitated. Her breathing slowed just a little, but the fear still held her. She had grown up hearing this story. She could not throw it away in one moment. Then a sound broke through the trees, deep voices, heavy footsteps. The girl gasped. "They are coming," she said. Daniel's head turned quickly. He saw shadows moving between the glowing trunks. More of her kind were near. If they saw him now, standing over the terrified girl, they would believe the worst. Panic rose inside him, but Daniel stayed still. He didn't want to make her scream again. The girl pushed herself up, her eyes darting between him and the forest. "If they see you, they will kill you," she whispered. Daniel felt the danger tighten around him, like the trees themselves were closing in. He had come here for help, but instead he had found fear, misunderstanding, and now hunters. The night air grew heavier. His heart pounded louder. He knew he had only seconds to act. Should he run deeper into the forest? Should he try to speak to them and explain? Or should he trust the girl? Even though she thought he wanted to eat her, the footsteps grew closer, the voices sharper. The girl's silver eyes locked with his once more for a brief second. There was something else behind her fear, confusion. Curiosity, maybe even hope. Daniel took a slow breath. He knew this was the beginning of something dangerous, something far bigger than a broken ship. He whispered under his breath, "Please, just believe me." As the shadows of her people closed in, the night that had started with silence was now filled with fear, mystery, and the beating heart of two strangers caught between lies and truth. The voices in the forest grew louder, echoing between the glowing trunks. Daniel pressed himself lower to the ground. His eyes stayed on the alien girl, hoping she might help him, but she still looked at him with terror. "They think you came to take me," she whispered. Her voice cracked, but there was no anger, only fear. "If they find you here, they will believe the stories." Daniel's heart thudded in his chest. What stories? He asked. He had to know. He had to understand why this girl, and maybe her whole people, thought he was some kind of monster. The girl's lips trembled. Her silver eyes shimmered with tears. The story of humans, she said quietly. The story of how you mate, you. You eat the one you choose, and from that comes new life. Daniel froze. For a moment, he thought she was joking. But her face told him otherwise. This was not a laugh, not a trick. It was a truth carved deep inside her mind. A belief as solid as the ground beneath them. That's insane, Daniel whispered. That's not how it works. He felt a strange mix of shock and pity. He wanted to laugh, but he couldn't. The girl was shaking too much. She truly believed she was standing before a predator. The footsteps came closer, and Daniel knew he didn't have much time. He leaned forward slightly. Listen, what's your name? He asked, hoping to calm her with something human, something simple. She hesitated. Her chest rose and fell quickly. Lyra, she said, almost in a whisper. Daniel nodded. Lyra, I don't eat people. That's not how humans live. That's not how we make families. It's a lie, her face twisted with doubt. But my mother told me, and her mother before her, she said. All of us know it. It is in our lessons. We were warned, if a human ever comes, run, hide. Never let them touch you. Daniel's stomach sank. This was worse than he thought. It wasn't just one story told in fear. It was a belief passed down through generations. The entire race thought humans were dangerous. He felt anger rise inside him. Who had spread this lie, and why? Was it fear? Was it control or something darker? But he pushed the anger down. Because right now only Lyra mattered. The shadows in the distance flickered. Alien warriors with glowing armor moved through the forest. Their strange weapons hummed low. Daniel knew if they saw him, he would not have a chance to explain. He turned back to Lyra. If I wanted to eat you, I could have done it already, but I didn't think. Doesn't that mean something? His words were sharp but desperate. Lyra's eyes darted from him to the approaching lights. Her fear battled with reason. It was as if two voices fought inside her head. One that screamed monster and one that whispered maybe. Why would they lie? She asked suddenly. Her voice cracked, but her question hung heavy in the night air. Why would my people believe something false? Daniel shook his head. I don't know. Maybe someone wanted you to fear us. Maybe they never wanted peace between us. He kept his voice low, steady. But I promise you, Lyra, it's not true. She bit her lip, her hands gripping the moss. Her breathing slowed just a little. The truth she had been told her whole life was breaking apart. Piece by piece, but fear still held her like chains. The voices came closer, a harsh language Daniel couldn't understand. He saw the shapes of more guards moving through the trees. Lyra panicked. They will kill you if they see you, she whispered. Run before it's too late, Daniel hesitated. He could leave and maybe survive, but then Lyra would keep believing the lie. And her people would never know the truth. This was bigger than him now. He crouched lower, his eyes locked on hers. Do you want to know the real truth about humans? He asked. Or do you want to live in fear forever? Lyra's breath caught. She stared at him, confusion in her glowing eyes. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. No one had ever given her a choice. For a heartbeat, the forest was silent. Only the wind moved. Then Lyra whispered, Show me. Daniel's chest loosened. He pulled something from his bag, a piece of food, a ration bar wrapped in silver foil. He broke it in half and held it out. His hands shook slightly, but his eyes stayed on her. This is what humans eat, he said, not people, not flesh. Just food. He took a bite himself, then pushed the other half toward her. Lyra's eyes widened, her lips parted in disbelief. Her body trembled as she reached forward slowly. Her fingers brushed the bar, then pulled back. She looked at him like he was performing magic. You eat this, she whispered, not me. Daniel nodded. Not you. For the first time, her fear cracked. A small spark of doubt about her old belief grew into something bigger. But before she could take another step, the warriors' voices grew louder, closer. Their shadows stretched across the glowing forest floor. Daniel knew they had seconds left, he whispered urgently. If you believe me, then help me. If not, I'll be hunted. Lyra looked at the food in his hand. Then at him. Her heart raced, her people's stories screamed at her. But her eyes saw the truth in front of her. She took the food, trembling, and held it close. I don't understand, she whispered, but maybe. Her words faded as the first warrior broke through the trees, their glowing weapon raised. The night held its Breath and everything balanced on the edge of one choice. The glowing warrior stepped out of the trees. His tall frame was covered in armor made of shining crystal plates. His eyes locked on Lyra first, then quickly shifted toward Daniel. His voice thundered through the night. Step away from the human. Daniel's heart raced. He could see more warriors moving behind the first. Their weapons hummed with dangerous energy. Lyra gasped and held the ration bar tightly to her chest. For a moment, she froze between two worlds, the one she had been taught and the one she had just begun to see. The warrior raised his weapon. The human has taken you. He will consume you. Move back now. Daniel raised his hand slowly. No, you don't understand. I haven't touched her. I'm not here to hurt anyone. His voice was steady, but he knew they wouldn't believe him. Not when their entire lives had been built on lies. Lyra looked from Daniel to the warrior. Her throat tightened. She wanted to speak, but her voice failed her. Her whole body trembled. She remembered Daniel eating the ration bar. She remembered the kindness in his eyes. But fear of her own people was stronger. The first warrior stepped closer. His weapon pointed directly at Daniel's chest. Daniel swallowed hard. He had no armor, no weapon strong enough to fight. If they fired, he would be gone in seconds. Daniel whispered urgently, his voice low so only Lyra could hear. You know the truth now. If you don't say something, I'll die here, and the lie will live forever. Lyra's lips parted, but no words came out. The forest seemed to press down on her. Her people's stories screamed inside her head. Her knees felt weak, yet when she looked at Daniel's face, she saw not a monster, but someone who was just as afraid as she was. The warrior shouted again, "Move away!" Lyra. His weapon hummed louder. Daniel's chest tightened. He could feel death waiting in the air. Then Lyra did something no one expected. She grabbed Daniel's arm and whispered, "Run!" Before he could answer, she pulled him to the side. The two of them dashed into the glowing trees. The warriors roared behind them, weapons cracked with bright blasts. Lighting up the forest like thunder, branches snapped as Daniel and Lyra pushed through. His lungs burned with every breath, but he didn't stop. Lyra's small hand gripped his tightly, guiding him through paths only she seemed to know. Her people's shouts followed close behind. "They'll chase us," Daniel gasped. "We can't outrun them forever." "We must try," Lyra said. Her voice trembled but held courage. "There's a cave ahead. We can hide there." They stumbled through thick roots. Daniel nearly fell but pulled himself up. Lyra's silver eyes glowed in the dark, guiding the way. Blasts of energy ripped through the trees around them. Showering sparks, Daniel ducked, his heart pounding. Finally, they reached a cliff. Below it, the forest stretched endlessly. Above, the stars burned like fire. Lyra pointed to a narrow crack in the rocks. "There," she said, "inside." Daniel squeezed in after her. The space was tight, dark, and cold. They pressed their backs against the stone walls, breathing hard. Outside, the warriors' voices grew louder. "Searching." Daniel's chest heaved, sweat dripping down his face. He whispered, "Why did you help me? I thought you believed them." Lyra's hand shook as she held the ration bar. Still half uneaten, her voice was soft. "Because when I saw you eat this, I realized something was wrong. You didn't eat me, you didn't even try, maybe. Maybe everything they told us is a lie." Daniel's heart softened. He gave a faint smile despite the danger. "That's because it is a lie. Lyra, humans don't eat people. We make families with love. Not with fear." Her eyes searched his face, confused and curious. But before she could answer, heavy footsteps crunched outside the cave. Shadows stretched across the entrance. Daniel and Lyra froze. The warriors were close, too close. One wrong sound and they would be found. "Lyra," a voice called, deep and commanding. "Come out. The human cannot save you. He will eat you as soon as you let your guard down." Lyra flinched at the words. Her hands pressed over her ears. Daniel's jaw tightened. Anger burned in him, not at her, but at the endless lies poured into her people. He leaned close and whispered, "You have a choice. Do you keep believing them? Or do you believe what you see with your own eyes?" Her silver eyes glistened in the dim cave light. She looked at the ration bar, then back at him. Her lips parted, but before she could speak, a blast of energy struck the rocks above them. Dust rained down. The warriors had found the cave. "Run deeper," Lyra whispered. She grabbed his hand again. Together they slipped further into the shadows of the cave. Deeper and deeper, the air grew colder, the stone walls tighter. Their footsteps echoed as the warriors' shouts filled the night behind them. Daniel's breath came in ragged gasps. His body ached, but he didn't let go of her hand. Every step pulled him further from safety, yet closer to something he couldn't explain. Trust. The cave twisted like a maze. Glowing crystals lit the walls faintly, casting strange reflections on their faces. Lyra slowed, her voice low. There's an old chamber ahead. No one goes there, not even the warriors. We can hide. Daniel nodded. His chest rose and fell as they moved. Behind them, the warriors' voices grew faint. But the danger was not gone, not yet. When they finally reached the chamber, it opened wide. Filled with strange symbols carved into the stone, the crystals glowed brighter here. Painting everything in blue light, Daniel stared in awe. But Lyra dropped to her knees, her face pale. This place, she whispered. These are the old writings. The stories of our people, but... Look, she traced a symbol with her trembling hand. This one? This one shows humans, and they are not eating us. They are standing beside us. Daniel's heart stopped. He leaned closer. The carvings were ancient, but clear, humans and her kind side by side. Not enemies, but allies. Lyra looked up at him, her silver eyes wide. Then why were we told lies? Daniel's fists clenched. He didn't have the answer yet, but he knew one thing for certain. Someone wanted her people to live in fear, and someone wanted humans to be hated. The sound of footsteps echoed faintly behind them again. The warriors had not given up. The chamber was no longer safe. Daniel turned to Lyra, his voice firm. We have to survive. If we don't, the truth dies here. With us. Her trembling hand reached for his. She nodded. Then we run together. And for the first time, fear was not the only thing in her eyes. There was courage, fragile but growing. As the darkness of the cave closed around them, the chamber was silent except for the sound of their breathing. Daniel and Lyra stood under the glowing carvings, the strange blue light reflecting across their faces. Dust still drifted in the air from the blast outside, and the distant echoes of the warriors reminded them that time was short. Daniel touched the wall where humans and her people were carved side by side. His fingers traced the lines. This is proof, he whispered. Your people once knew the truth. We were not enemies. We stood together. Lyra's chest tightened, her silver eyes filled with doubt. If this is true, then why do my people fear you? Why would they tell us such lies? Her voice shook. She wanted an answer, but Daniel had none. Someone wanted this story buried, Daniel said, his tone low. Someone powerful spread the rumor. A rumor so strong it became truth to your people. They feared us because they were told to. They hated us because someone wanted it that way. Lyra pressed her hand against the ancient carvings, her mind spun. Then my whole life. My mother's life, everyone's life. All built on a lie. She trembled, her body weak from the weight of her thoughts. Daniel stepped closer, his voice steady. But you saw me, Lyra. You know I don't eat you. I don't hurt you. I gave you food, not fear. You must trust what you see, not what you were told. She looked at the half-eaten ration bar in her hand. Her lips parted slightly. The memory of him eating his share replayed in her mind. Maybe you speak the truth, she whispered. But if I say this to others, they will laugh at me, or worse. Call me a traitor. Outside the chamber, voices rose again. The warriors were still searching. The glow of their weapons flickered against the cave walls. Daniel's jaw tightened. They didn't have much time. He turned back to the carvings, his eyes scanning the patterns. There must be more. Something here that explains what happened. He brushed his hand along the wall until he found a section darker than the rest. Old markings scarred the stone, lines scratched violently to erase the story. Look, Daniel said. Someone tried to destroy this part. They didn't want your people to know, that's why the rumor was born. Lyra knelt beside him. Her fingers traced the broken markings. Her silver eyes burned with new fire. All this time, we were blinded by fear, she whispered. The rumor was not to protect us, it was to control us. A heavy sound echoed through the cave, boots on stone. The warriors were closer now. The chamber trembled with every step they took. Daniel's breath quickened. They won't listen to me, he muttered, but maybe they'll listen to you. He looked directly at Lyra. You're one of them, if you tell the truth. You can change everything, her heart pounded. Her voice trembled. I'm not brave enough, she whispered. They'll never believe me. Daniel shook his head. His eyes were fierce. They don't have to believe right away. They just need to see the first spark. You can be that spark, Lyra. You already are. Her lips trembled. The weight of his words pressed down on her. She thought of her mother, of the endless warnings whispered since childhood. She thought of Daniel, standing unarmed before warriors who wanted him dead. And for the first time, she wondered if courage was not the absence of fear, but the strength to stand despite it. The chamber shook again as another blast struck the rocks outside. The entrance cracked wider. Glowing dust filled the air. Voices shouted, "Find the human, do not let him escape." Daniel grabbed Lyra's hand. "We need to move," he said urgently. "If they catch us here, they'll kill me." "And they'll silence you too." Lyra nodded weakly. Her legs felt heavy, but she forced herself to stand. Together they ran deeper into the cave, the walls glowing faintly with crystal veins. Their footsteps echoed louder as the warriors followed. The tunnel opened into a wide, hollow chamber. In the center stood a tall stone pillar, covered in carvings too old to erase. Daniel's eyes widened. "More history," he whispered. Lyra stepped closer, her hand trembling as she touched the pillar. The carvings showed humans and her kind exchanging gifts, sharing meals, even fighting side by side. It was undeniable. Once, they had been allies. Her throat tightened. "If my people saw this, everything would change," she said, her voice shook. But a spark of determination grew inside her. Before Daniel could answer, a beam of light cut through the chamber. A warrior stepped in. Weapon raised, his voice boomed, "There they are!" "Seize the human." Daniel pushed Lyra behind the pillar. His heart raced. He had no weapon, no shield, but he stood firm, ready to protect her. Lyra's chest heaved. Her people's lies screamed in her head, but her eyes locked on the truth carved in stone. The rumor had stolen her childhood, her freedom, and her people's trust. She could not let it steal more. She stepped forward suddenly, her voice rising louder than the warriors. "Stop!" she cried. Her voice echoed through the chamber. "He is not what you think. He did not eat me. He saved me." The warrior froze. His glowing eyes narrowed. His weapon shook slightly. Behind him, more warriors gathered, their faces twisted with confusion. Daniel's chest rose and fell. He looked at Lyra in shock. She had spoken against all her fear. Against the rumor, the silence grew heavy. The warriors looked at each other, uncertain. The rumor was strong, but her voice was stronger in that moment. One warrior snarled, "Lies!" he spat. "Humans are monsters, we know this." Lyra stepped closer. Trembling but refusing to stop, she held up the ration bar, her voice breaking but firm. "If he wished to eat me, I would not stand here now. He eats food, not people. I saw it with my own eyes. These carvings prove the truth. Our history was stolen from us." The warrior's eyes flicked to the glowing symbols on the walls and pillar. Uneasy whispers rippled through them. The air shifted with doubt. Daniel's heart pounded. He knew this was only the beginning. The rumor was dangerous, powerful. But now the first crack had formed, and through that crack, the truth might finally break free. The warriors stood frozen, their glowing weapons pointed but unsteady. Lyra's voice still echoed across the chamber. Her trembling figure before the ancient pillar seemed too small, too fragile, but her words had shaken something deep inside them. Daniel stayed behind her, his heart pounding like a drum. He had never felt so helpless and so hopeful at the same time. One wrong move could mean death, yet one brave word could change everything. The leader of the warriors stepped forward. His crystal armor caught the glow of the carvings. His face was hard, his voice sharp. "You are deceived, child. The human tricked you. He used you to survive." Lyra shook her head. Her voice cracked but did not break. "No, I saw him eat food, not me. He had a chance to harm me. But he never did. He gave me kindness, not fear." The leader's weapon hummed louder. "Do not be fooled. That is how monsters work. They lure their prey with gifts." Daniel clenched his fists. His patience thinned, but he forced his voice to stay calm. "If I were what you said, I wouldn't stand here talking. I'd have destroyed her already, but I didn't. You can see that with your own eyes." The warriors exchanged uncertain glances. The rumor was strong, carved into their very blood, but the truth in front of them made their grips falter. Lyra's chest heaved. She turned to Daniel for a moment. Her silver eyes reflected fear and something else, trust, fragile but growing. "If I believe you," she whispered. "If I stand with you, everything changes." Daniel nodded. "It does. But it also puts you in danger." His words were heavy. He didn't want to lie. "Your people may call you traitor. They may punish you for defending me." Her hands shook as she held the ration bar tighter. "I'm already afraid," she admitted. But if I stay silent, the lie will live forever. My people will never know the truth, and maybe I will never forgive myself, the warriors murmured among themselves. Their voices were filled with doubt. One of them lowered his weapon slightly, his eyes fixed on the carvings that showed humans and their kind side by side. The leader barked silence. His voice cracked like thunder. The old carvings are forbidden. They are lies scratched in stone to weaken us. Do not believe them. But his anger only made Lyra stand straighter. Her body trembled, yet her voice rose stronger than before. If they are lies, then why erase them? Why hide them? Why keep us afraid? The question pierced the silence like a blade. The warriors froze, unable to answer. Their grips on their weapons loosened just a little more. Daniel's heart swelled. He had never seen courage like this. A young alien girl raised on fear, now daring to speak against everything she had ever been taught. She was risking everything for him, for the truth. The leader snarled and raised his weapon higher. His finger twitched on the trigger. Enough. The human dies now. In that instant, Lyra moved without thinking. She threw herself between Daniel and the leader. Her arms spread wide, her silver eyes burning with determination. If you kill him, you must kill me too, she cried. The warriors gasped. The chamber shook with their shock. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He wanted to pull her back to protect her, but he knew this was her choice. Her voice was the shield now. Not his. For a long moment, no one moved. The leader's weapon still aimed, Lyra's body still blocking. The silence grew so heavy that even the crystals on the walls seemed to dim. Finally, one of the younger warriors lowered his weapon completely. His voice was uncertain but soft. Maybe she speaks truth, he said. Maybe we were wrong. The leader turned sharply, fury burning in his eyes. Wrong never. The human is a beast. But more warriors lowered their weapons. Their eyes moved between the carvings, the food in Lyra's hand, and the human who had not harmed her. Doubt had spread like fire through dry grass. Daniel whispered, Lyra, they believe you. His voice was quiet. Almost in awe, she swallowed hard. Her voice cracked as she answered. Not all of them, not yet, but some, the leader roared, smashing his weapon against the stone floor. Sparks flew. If you trust him, then you betray us all. You betray your blood, Lyra's voice trembled. But she did not step aside. If believing a lie is loyalty, then I would rather be a traitor. Her words struck the chamber like lightning. The warriors gasped again. Some looked away, unable to meet her eyes. Others shifted uncomfortably. The leader's face twisted with rage. Daniel felt a surge of pride. He whispered, You're stronger than you think, Lyra. But the danger had not ended. The leader's fury burned hotter. His grip on the weapon tightened. If I must cut you down to protect my people, then so be it, he growled. Daniel stepped forward now, his voice steady. You'll have to go through me first. He stood beside Lyra, shoulder to shoulder, his eyes locked on the leader. The chamber filled with tension so thick it was hard to breathe. Warriors stood divided, some ready to fire, others hesitating, caught between old lies and new truths. In that fragile moment, trust hung in the balance. Lyra had risked everything. Daniel had nothing left but his courage. And together they stood against a rumor powerful enough to destroy them both. The leader's weapon hummed louder. The crystals on the walls flickered like dying stars. The choice of life or death hovered in the air. And for the first time, the fate of two species rested not on weapons, but on the fragile bond of trust between a terrified girl and a stranded human. The chamber trembled under the leader's rage. His weapon glowed brighter, ready to fire. Daniel stood tall beside Lyra, his chest heaving, but he refused to step back. Lyra's body shook, but she did not move away either. Her silver eyes stared directly at the warrior leader. Unblinking, the younger warriors shifted uneasily. Some lowered their weapons completely. Others kept them raised but hesitated. The air was thick with doubt and fear. The lie was breaking. But the truth was not yet strong enough to stand on its own. Move, Lyra, the leader growled. His voice echoed against the crystal walls. Do not sacrifice yourself for a monster. She took a shaky breath. Her voice cracked but carried through the chamber. He is not a monster, he saved me. He gave me food when he could have hurt me. Look at me, I'm alive. Not eaten, her words struck like arrows. Daniel felt his chest tighten. He had never been more proud of her. The girl who once trembled in fear was now standing like a shield against her own people. The leader's face twisted with fury. Your weakness blinds you if you stand with him. You will fall with him. His weapon aimed at Daniel's chest. Daniel's heartbeat roared in his ears. He whispered softly to Lyra, "Stay behind me. If it comes to it, run." But Lyra shook her head quickly. "No, I will not run again," the warriors murmured among themselves. Some stepped back. Their eyes flicked nervously between the leader and the carvings glowing on the walls. The doubt spread wider. Suddenly, the ground shook with another blast. Dust rained from the ceiling. A second group of warriors stormed into the chamber. Led by elders draped in heavy cloaks, their eyes burned with suspicion. They had come to end the confusion. One elder's voice boomed, "Enough of this, the human dies." "The girl will be taken and cleansed of his poison," Lyra gasped. Her heart dropped. She stepped closer to Daniel. "They will kill you," she whispered. Her hand gripped his sleeve tightly. Daniel's jaw clenched, his eyes locked on the elders. "Not if we show them the truth," he said. Though he knew how thin that hope was, the leader bowed to the elders. "He has deceived her. She defends him because she has been tricked. Allow me to end this now." Daniel stepped forward. His voice carried strength he didn't feel. "If I am truly the monster you claim, then prove it, show them, right here, let me stand. Let them see if I strike or devour." The chamber went silent. The challenge hung in the air. The elders frowned. Their eyes flicked to Lyra, then to the carvings. The rumor had ruled for centuries, but even they could not ignore the evidence carved in stone. Lyra's voice broke the silence, trembling but fierce. "If he wished to harm me, I would be gone already, you know this. But instead he stands beside me, protecting me." "Is that the act of a beast?" One of the younger warriors stepped forward, lowering his weapon completely. His voice shook. "I saw him eat food, not her, perhaps. Perhaps the stories are not true." The elder's eyes narrowed. The chamber filled with gasps. Doubt grew heavier, stronger. The foundation of their fear cracked even more. The leader roared in frustration. His weapon hummed with deadly energy. "You are all fools. He will destroy us if we allow him to live." Daniel raised his hands, his voice steady. "I didn't come here to destroy. My ship crashed. I only came seeking help. If you kill me now, you kill the truth. And you remain chained by lies." The words echoed through the chamber. Daniel's voice carried no weapon, but it struck deeper than any blade. The elders whispered among themselves, their faces stern. Some still clung to the lie, but others wavered. Their eyes betrayed uncertainty. The leader saw his power slipping. His fury exploded. He charged forward, weapon raised, his voice a roar. "Then I will end this myself," Lyra screamed. Daniel pulled her close, but before the blast could strike, several younger warriors leapt forward. Blocking the leader's path, their weapons clashed. The chamber rang with sparks. The battle erupted inside the ancient hall. Some warriors fought for the lie, others for the truth. The chamber shook with each strike. The carvings on the walls glowed brighter, as if the past itself demanded to be seen. Daniel shielded Lyra as the chaos unfolded. "We have to move," he whispered, but Lyra's eyes locked on the pillar, on the truth carved there. "No," she said softly, "they must see this. They must know." Her voice was drowned by the clash of weapons, but her resolve grew. She stepped forward. Her small frame glowing under the crystal light, she shouted above the noise, "Look at the walls, look at our history. We once stood with humans. We were not afraid." Her cry pierced the battle. Some warriors froze, their eyes flicked to the carvings. To the glowing proof around them, the doubt spread like wildfire. Daniel's breath caught. This was the turning point. Not the clash of weapons, but the fight for truth. And Lyra had become its voice. The leader's roar shook the chamber as he fought against his own men. His weapon sparked violently. "Lies, all lies," he screamed. "You will doom us all." But his words no longer carried the same weight. Warriors turned away from him. Elders lowered their heads in silence. The lie was breaking at last. Daniel gripped Lyra's hand, his voice low. "You did it, they're listening." Her silver eyes filled with tears. Not of fear, but of something new. Hope, fragile yet powerful. The chamber shook one last time as the leader fell to his knees. Defeated not by weapons, but by doubt, his power drained away. His voice cracked as he whispered, "If the rumor dies, what will become of us?" Daniel stood tall, his voice steady. What should have been from the beginning, peace, not fear. And in that moment, the chamber seemed to breathe. The carvings glowed brighter. The warriors lowered their weapons. and the dangerous lie that had chained a people for generations finally began to crumble. The chamber was quiet now. The clash of weapons had ended, and the heavy dust began to settle. Warriors stood divided, some with their heads bowed, others staring at the glowing carvings as if seeing them for the first time. The leader knelt on the ground, his weapon shattered beside him. His face twisted with defeat. Daniel kept his arm around Lyra. Steadying her trembling body, she had spoken louder than fear itself. She had risked her life to shield him, and now the chamber carried her voice instead of the rumor. One elder stepped forward slowly. His cloak brushed against the cracked stones. His voice was deep but heavy with doubt. For generations we were told humans devour us. We were told to run, to hide, to hate. He looked at Daniel with sharp eyes. And yet you stand here alive, unbroken, and the girl you were said to consume still stands with you. Lyra lifted her head. Her silver eyes glistened with tears. Because he did not harm me, she whispered.
He saved me, he gave me food when I had nothing.
He showed me kindness when fear chained my heart. I cannot deny what I have seen. The warriors shifted uneasily. Their weapons lowered further. Doubt turned into cracks. And cracks turned into questions. Daniel stepped forward, his voice steady. I am not your enemy. My ship broke down. I came here only seeking help. But instead of kindness, I found fear. I found lies carved into your lives. He gestured toward the walls, glowing with ancient truth. Your history tells you what is real, not the rumors that chained you. The elder's eyes narrowed. He looked back at the leader who still knelt on the ground. Why did you keep this from us? Why did you bury our past? The leader's voice cracked. He looked broken, his strength drained. Because fear is easier than trust, fear kept us united. Fear made us strong, but the truth frightened me more than lies ever could. His words echoed with weakness. The warriors who once followed him now stepped back. Some turned away in shame, others stared at him with anger. The power of the rumor crumbled with every passing second. Lyra's voice rose again, no longer trembling but firm. If we live in fear, we are prisoners forever. But if we face the truth, maybe we can build something better. Look at him, he is human. He stands here with no weapon, yet he fights not to kill, but to be believed. Her words carried through the chamber, and this time no one called her a liar. Daniel's chest tightened. He looked at Lyra, pride burning in his heart. She was no longer the terrified girl who once begged him not to eat her. She was the bridge between their worlds. The elders spoke among themselves in hushed tones. Finally, one of them raised his voice. Perhaps it is time we accept the truth. Perhaps the fear has lived too long. The warriors lowered their weapons fully now. Some even dropped to one knee as if surrendering not to Daniel, but to the truth they could no longer deny. Daniel took a slow breath, his voice soft but clear. I don't ask for worship. I don't ask for power. All I ask is trust. Let me prove that humans are not what you fear. The silence broke when Lyra stepped closer to him. Her hand slipped into his. She raised their joined hands high. Her silver eyes glowed as she said, I believe him. And if I, a daughter of this world, believe, then you can too. The chamber filled with murmurs, whispers of agreement. The carvings glowed brighter as if the past itself rejoiced. The lie was dying at last. The leader bowed his head. Defeated, his voice came low. Then the age of fear is over. Daniel felt the weight lift from his chest. He looked down at Lyra. You were the brave one. Not me, she shook her head softly, a faint smile forming. No, I was afraid. But you showed me another way. You gave me reason to be brave. Outside the chamber, the night had grown quiet. The warriors led them back through the glowing forest, not as enemies, but as uncertain allies. The air no longer carried the same sharp edge of fear. It carried something new, fragile but alive, hope. When they stepped out under the silver sky, Daniel saw the stars burning bright above. He thought of Earth, of his broken ship, of the long journey still ahead. But for the first time, he felt he was not alone. The elders turned to him. You will stay, one said. You will teach us who humans truly are. If what you say is true, then our people must learn. The old ways must return. Daniel nodded slowly, his voice steady. I will stay, and together, we will build trust, not fear. Lyra looked at him with a quiet smile. Her heart lighter than ever before. She had grown up believing humans were monsters. Yet here stood one who had saved her life not by power, but by kindness. The warriors dispersed, their weapons dim. The carvings inside the chamber would no longer be hidden. The rumor that had ruled for generations was broken. Daniel and Lyra stood side by side under the glowing sky, their hands still joined. Two strangers who had once been enemies now carried the weight of a new beginning. And as the stars watched silently above, the truth at last was revealed.